Hi. Thank you for attending today's reading. Let's begin. A boy, a girl, and a jar full of pennies. So, when I was 5 years old, I used to live in a cul-de-sac in Illinois. My father, being military, meant I moved quite often. I'll get to that part. So me and this girl lived adjacent from one another and we played all the time. We were in kindergarten and first grade together. Hide and seek, playing house, swimming, riding bikes. Truth and dare was the run-of-the-mill activity list for us in this neighborhood. Kids used to always tease us chanting, name and name sitting in a tree. KISSING. It was humorous and we'd often laugh it off. But one day we were over her house playing house and she just sat on her bed. I was pretending to cook and she goes, "It smells good. But can you come here and help me?" I obliged. She stared me deep in my eyes and said, "Why do other kids say we kiss when we haven't?" Being 6, I didn't have the world figured out, let alone my favorite Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. I shrugged in bewilderment. No idea found me. "Put her lips did right," she said. "We should." So that was my first kiss. But then, enters grandmother. "What are you two children doing?" Quote. Me. Scared as hell. Looking at the floor where the piggy bank fell. Counting pennies? Quote. Fast forward 10 years during yet another military-issued move. We stopped in St. Louis to visit family and my mother took us to the mall to get some school clothes. And what have you. I remember Nelly being really popular at the time, and at this age I was definitely into girls. I saw this really pretty, petite, mixed girl with extremely curly hair walk by with some friends. Jokingly, I yelled out, "Ayo shorty, what's your name?" She turns around and both our jaws hit the floor. There was zero probability we mistook one another at that very moment. For a moment the world stopped. Everything around deafened and blurred. We locked eyes for what seemed like an eon and we walked directly up to one another. Only sentence she spoke. "So that's why the name REDACTEDs said our family should come for dinner." Quote. She awkwardly leaves and I'm just dumbfounded and unaware of what the hell is going on. Life just came full circle for me and I was having a hard time gripping the fact I just saw the story none of my early childhood friends believed. The owner of my first kiss. Fast forward 3 hours. We pull up to the same cul-de-sac I grew up in and greet the family that invited us. Nice family with great values that were pivotal in my developmental years. Me and the other child, now teen, decided to go out and see the old neighborhood. Almost in cue, a white vehicle rolls slowly to a stop right in front of my old house and I see this small shadow step out of the backseat and start running towards us. It's her. Not to bore with details. But we begin talking and begin finishing each other's sentences. We sit closer and closer and decide to go out for a walk to view the neighborhood. We sit under our favorite tree growing up. Her. "Can I admit something?" Me. "Sure. What's up?" Her. "Things aren't the same from when we were kids. But I've never once forgot about you. You made my childhood fun. You made me feel something I'm still not sure I'm familiar with." Me. Quote. "Love." Her. "Well, you didn't have to say it and kill the mood. You've always been quick to answer and never quick to think." Me. Quote. "You mean spontaneous? Like when I fought off the asshole who crushed your snowman because you started crying." Quote. We both laughed until the last one could be heard echoing in the dusk. We stood up and she just stayed there hugging me. "You should come to Six Flags with my church group." I obliged. Fast forward 8.5 hours, which felt like a quick trip to Mars by bicycle. My mother drops me off at her new house and we go in for breakfast. Me. Hey Mr. Redacted. What ya cook? Him. The only thing I'm allowing you to put your lips on in this house. Her and I lock eyes and our parents start hysterically laughing. Y'all didn't think we knew? I began rolling my dunce cap. We left as the van pulled up just in time to save us from the life support of embarrassment our parents subjected us to. We shared headphones and listened to music the whole way. Unsurprisingly, we had similar taste. She started playing more and more love songs. Fast forward $29 for a Coke and hot dog later. We are sitting in line for bumper cars and I'm excited to be doing something fun away from family. She grabs my arm and lets her friends run lady to get ahead in line. We sit there silently looking at the line. She then proceeds to stare at me. Her eyes red, listen to me. Confused me about as much as it would anyone reading that sentence. You know, drops pennies on the ground. You're pretty good at counting from what I can remember. Thus began the moment that defined me as a man till this day. A kiss stemmed from love. That would be the first and last time I ever experienced that. And I cherish it as you would a family heirloom. She's married and happy now. I'm quite the opposite. But I still have this joy knowing this story is a chapter of my life. Sorry for improper grammar usage and spelling issues. End of story. Next story. Guys, please don't become a vegan just to impress a girl or you'll end up in jail like me. There's only so much fulfillment in life I can get from working or by watching Hulu or Netflix. I just haven't been the same since my wife divorced me. It was just a total blow to my ego even though it's been more than 3 years. I still haven't fully recovered. She left me for someone who made more money than I did. I guess me being a chef in a mid-scale restaurant, where I just couldn't compete with a high-powered attorney, which is who she left me for. A lot of times when I'm cutting onions or peppers at work, I'm doing it with such anger and vigor that I'm really just letting my frustrations out on my ex-wife. I just never pictured us getting divorced. I felt so betrayed knowing she was seeing him behind my back. So now I live in this apartment complex on the outskirts of Philadelphia. There's 20 individual apartment units with 19 of them being rented out. It's a nice apartment complex with its own gym and pool and everyone's friendly, but I'm the only single oddball one. Because the prices of homes in this area are so expensive, couples have decided to just rent places like where I'm living. As I was leaving for work today, I couldn't help but notice someone moving into the last vacant apartment. It was a fairly fit woman in her mid-20s and we just briefly exchanged pleasantries. I'm not sure how she would feel about me being 33, but I feel we're about the same age range. Though I'm a few years older. I went to my job and while I was cooking at least I had something to think about with the new woman moving in. I finished my shift and went home and then to bed. The next morning I woke up and went to the gym like I typically do in the apartment complex. I'm usually the only one there, but today I was surprised when I saw the new lady tenant there as well. She told me her name was Vivian and we actually did very little exercising and we did more talking than anything else. As the days went on, I saw her every day at the gym and eventually we started hanging out at each other's apartments. I was playing off her vibes and she was in a long-term relationship like me and she was playing it real slow. Also, she was a very strict vegan. She wouldn't allow any type of clothing into her apartment that was made from any parts from an animal. Regardless, I liked her and I was willing to play her game if it meant being in a relationship with her. We are now at 3 months and I have joined her vegan lifestyle. I bought a whole new wardrobe and I even got a chef's position at a new vegan restaurant. I had actually lost 30 pounds from eating healthier vegan food. The only thing that was bothering me was that we've had no physical contact and she tends to be a bit controlling. She just likes it when my apartment is spotless. I say to her jokingly, "Vivian, I don't think it's necessary to go through my kitchen cabinets like that." Then she won't pick up on my sarcasm and would say, "Well, maybe if you learned how to clean with bleach then you wouldn't have all of this filth." I just tuned her out because I know I'll just sink back into my old depressed self if I'm alone again. I just haven't been able to keep any weight on. I guess I didn't realize the limitations to what a vegan can eat. I'm down to a size 29 waist and I'm starting to look emaciated and I feel really weak. I really don't like my new chef position because I'm really not that good at preparing vegan platters and I keep getting food sent back to me related to customer complaints. It just seems like little by little every little thing is starting to get me really mad like this. Must have been the third person today that complained to the owner that my gazpacho soup lacked flavor. So when I got home I really just wanted to be left alone, but in my bedroom I hear that knock knock on my door where I know she knows I'm here. As I lay down in my bed with my head spinning, I really don't want to get up, but I do so anyways. I open the door and I put my pretend smile on and invite Vivian in. I bring her back to my room and she just listens to me as I swallow my pride and I vent about what a mediocre chef I am and how I've lost more weight than I can count and how I'm really just not happy. Vivian, sensing that I wasn't happy, makes a promise to me that when I get home from work tomorrow, she will make my evening worthwhile. So I try my best to pull myself out from this funk and I start to ease up a little. Eventually I come out of my room with her and we actually went for a walk outside. After the walk she goes back to her apartment and I retire to my bed. Before I go to bed I think to myself that at least I will have intercourse tomorrow night for the first time in years. Tomorrow comes and because I've lost so much weight from being a vegan I just skip the gym. Work today was downright awful to the point where I'm certain the owner just wants me to quit so he doesn't have to fire me. Which is the worst feeling in the world. I dragged myself to complete the shift and afterwards at least I knew Vivian was going to put out tonight. So I drove back to my apartment in my beat-up 2006 Hyundai Elantra, where I was really trying not to focus on work. Eventually I get to my apartment where I had given Vivian the key yesterday and I smell an old friend that I haven't smelled in a long time, which was barbecue sauce. Thinking that she was going to make an exception tonight. I was anticipating maybe the best barbecue chicken or better yet maybe the best barbecue spare ribs that I haven't had in what seemed like for years. So as I came through the door Vivian said, "Sit down honey, dinner will be ready in 30 seconds. My mouth is watering as she brings out of the oven what looks like a pork butt smothered in barbecue sauce. My stomach prepares itself for absolute bliss. Vivian starts to blabber as she brings out Brussels sprouts and other greens which I might throw up if I have to eat again. As I take the steak knife into this succulent barbecued pork butt I quickly realize that I have been bamboozled into the most horrible trick someone could play onto someone else because this freaking thing was a baked watermelon with barbecue sauce smothered all over it that looked like meat but was nothing more than your goddamned seed-growing watermelon. So I just sat at the dinner table thinking this bitch better be good in the sack because I'm literally starving myself here. I try my best to eat a Brussels sprout and some corn, then after dinner it was my responsibility to clean up this monstrosity because she cooked. After I cleaned up, I stood in the kitchen as she pointed out to me everything I didn't clean right. From the dishes to the table. I was going to lunge at her, but I stopped myself. After being completely emasculated, we both sat on the couch where part of me was spewing from anger and another part of me felt like I was going to die within the next 5 minutes from protein malnutrition. As I sat on the couch, I didn't say a word as the seconds turned into minutes, which turned into an hour. As she did nothing more than just blabber and blabber, but I could smell that darn barbecue sauce. Mr. Del Riccio, my name is Detective John Stevens from the Philadelphia Homicide Unit. Can you please tell me from the beginning how Ms. Vivian Lopez's severed upper torso was found in your bathroom tub and how both of her legs, including her rump, were found in your oven and kitchen table? Quote, as the bright lights shined down onto my face at the police station interrogation room, I responded, well sir, I was protein deprived for weeks and she just kept on nagging and nagging me. And the smell of barbecue sauce lingered in the air. When she told me we weren't going to have intercourse that night, my mind shifted from romance to no longer being a vegan. End of story. That is all for today. If you want to support my automated channel, feel free to drop a like and subscribe. See you tomorrow.